Bank Street, SB. Follow me. I got bars for him too.
Yes, let's go.
Right,
Great
bro.
game.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. This is far and away the best I have felt as an Ottawa REDBLACKS fan since 2018. It is not close. Ottawa REDBLACKS win 20-14. They beat the Edmonton Elks in back-to-back games on only 5 days rest. Now 5 days rest for both teams, but nonetheless, we sweep the season series against them. It's spelled Elks with 6 L's. Now, before I get into it, I just want to say something real quick, okay? There's going to be a lot of people, the doubters. There's been a lot of doubters. I've seen it everywhere. You know, online, radio, TV, everyone is saying, oh, Ottawa has an inflated record. They aren't legit. They can't beat a real team. I'm going to say 2 things to that real quick. First off, they don't ask how, they ask how many. At the end of the day, we're 4-2. That's what matters. At the end of the day, they don't say, oh, well, Ottawa only beat weak teams, so they don't get to make the playoffs. No. They ask, how many wins do you have? What is your record? And right now, our record is 4-2. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. At the end of this week, we are guaranteed to be ahead of minimum 4 teams. Winnipeg, as I'm recording this video, just lost. They just lost. They are 2-4. Calgary will either be 3-3 or 2-4. The Elks are 0-6. And Hamilton will either be 1-5 or 0-6. And if Hamilton's 1-5, that would mean that Toronto is 3-3. Currently, as I am recording this video, Ottawa sits in the 2nd position in the Eastern Division. We are closer to the top of the league than we are to the bottom. We are 1 game behind Montreal. And I get it. Oh, but, you know, Montreal, they're going to win a lot more games than you. Yeah, probably. Probably Montreal's going to win the Eastern Division. But we are still 1 game back. You never know. We could beat Calgary. They could lose their next game. We could beat them the next time we face them. It could happen. And we are within striking distance. We are within striking distance to the 1st place spot in the entire league than we are to not being in a playoff spot. We are closer to the top of the league than we are not to the bottom of the league, but just to the not good enough portion of the league. So I do not care that, yeah, we could have put this game away by the end of the first half. We should have. Don't get me wrong. Are there flaws? Big time. Last game, our offense carried us. We had so many opportunities to put the game away on defense. And, oh, roughing the kicker. Oh, PI. Oh, we clearly recovered a fumble. Don't challenge it because, honestly, knowing the command center wouldn't have mattered anyway. But we won. It was not pretty, but we won. This week, our defense won us that game. They willed us to a win. They allowed 0 touchdowns. They goose-egged them in terms of majors. It looked like they were about to give up one, and then Edmonton, they took a field goal. I'm going to actually break this game down in a little bit more detail than I have other games because there were just some decisions that had me saying, hey, you know, Edmonton, when you go for the full-time coaching gig, you know, don't give me a ring because I will actively sabotage the team so Ottawa wins. But, like, you know, give me a ring when you aren't playing Ottawa because there were some decisions that I just was, So I do want to break that down a little bit. But they did not score a touchdown. And they had a not great showing field goal wise. 4 of 7. 4 of 7. And that is in large part thanks to our defense, forcing our opponents to take long field goals for a kicker who isn't good at long field goals with the wind against him. 3 misses. Three times. I was like, okay, but it is a field goal attempt. And when I'm writing my notes, I go to the games. I physically have season tickets. I go to every game that I possibly can go to. And so I try to watch the game and take notes in between plays. Football, it's a lot easier to do that because, you know, there's a play and then there's a break and then there's a play and then there's a break. That's why I'm able to get so many more notes, because it's so consistently just play and then there's a little period of time. Whereas, you know, in hockey, in my hockey videos, we can have a play extending for minutes and all of a sudden, like, a quarter of the period is just gone, or, you know, a good chunk of time is just gone where multiple things happen. There are multiple shots taken. There are a bunch of crazy things, big hits, big plays, takeaways, giveaways, great saves before finally the play ends. They're really, it's each play is its own thing in football. Each event is self-contained. So it allows me to, in between each play, to write, and sometimes I like to write in advance, you know, give myself a little breathing room. 3 times I said, and so, you know, now they score a field goal, and then I'm like, oh, no, they don't. Of those 3 misses, they garnered 1 rouge. 1. The one field goal that we missed up, Ward went 4 for 5, which it was his, I think, first field goal attempt that he missed. And then just bam, Lewis Ward does Lewis Ward things, 4 for 4 the rest of the night, including one from like 48. Because Ward just does Ward things. And I mean, he won us the game as usual. But those missed field goals were thanks to our defense. Was thanks to the fact that our defense made the big plays when they needed to force field goals at very, very bad field position for Edmonton. They didn't really get many chip shots. They didn't get any points easy. Last game they did. Last game our defense was not good. I'm going to be honest. This game, I'm surprised that they scored any points at all. Our defense was staunch. Our defense looked like one of the best in the league, if I'm being completely honest. I don't have the stats on me right now, but I get Edmonton's a bad team, and we should be upset that we barely beat them. First off, BC, Toronto, Montreal, Saskatchewan, they all barely beat Edmonton, okay? This is the second biggest loss they've suffered all season. Their biggest one was 7 points. So really, we are way better than Toronto and BC and Montreal because, I mean, we doubled them in terms of how much we beat Edmonton by. And the last game we didn't, but those other games, yeah, no, I mean, we just lapped the competition. And I don't know if any other team has held Edmonton to so few points. 14 points. 14 all game. Through 4 quarters, 60 minutes of play, they got 14 points grand total. And what have I been saying? I feel like for most, not all, but most games, we're going to win on the backs of special teams and defense. And special teams was good, but not great. Dedmond was out with injury, and I really hope he gets better soon, especially because Harris also goes down with injury. So now we're really like, it's starting to get to a point where I'm actually wondering, are we going to have to put Pimpleton in? Just to return some punts, because, like, what is our other option at this point? Hopefully Dedmond gets healthy, especially because after next week we get a bye week. Hopefully we can kind of rejuvenate, recuperate, and come back stronger and healthier for, you know, the next set of the season. But I gotta say, our defense showed up when they needed to show up, and our offense was better than theirs. I've got the offensive stats right here. I'm gonna just read them off, just to show that, like, yeah, offensively we still were the better team, and you could tell, like, we did move the ball quite a bit. We just couldn't finish drives. Worst thing was our turnovers. We had 2 really bad picks. 2 picks that just, Brown is better than that. He is. 1 deep in our territory that, again, it's just, I don't know why he made that pass. I think he just panicked, and both picks were like that. Both picks, I think it was just panicking. When he had an open lane to run, I don't know why he didn't run. And eventually he did run, and he actually got a first down. So, I think that's just a learning curve thing for any new quarterback getting used to it. And we gave a turnover on downs. We went for it on 3rd and 1, didn't get it. It happens. I was surprised. Typically, Dustin Crum, it's like a guaranteed yard, but again, it happens. But we had 20 first downs to their 15. That's pretty significant. We had 332 yards of offense. They had 250. Like, that is a big difference. That's an 82-yard swing in our favor. So, even though this was not an offensive game, we were the significantly better team offensively and defensively. Defensively, yeah, we didn't get like those big splash plays of like, ooh, a pick, ooh, another pick. I think we got 2 turnovers all game. One was a pick, and then the other one was like end of the game. They're just going in desperation mode. So like we recover their fumble, but like they were just trying to throw anything at the wall to see what would stick. And we put them in a situation where it was nigh impossible for them to get back into the game. When we punted to them with, they got it at their own 11 with 11 seconds left. Like that's down, especially down by 6. That is a death sentence. Maybe if you're down by 3, you could at least try for like a 40-yard pass and, something crazy could happen. Down by 6, that's a death sentence. And it was. They only got to their 34 with 4 seconds left. And then they tried a bunch of, hook and ladder, very bad hook and ladder, desperation play, and Malden recovers to end the game. But that's less of a turnover and more of just the game concluding. Just Ottawa's defense doing what it needs to do to just stop the play. Because it doesn't matter at that point whether we get a turnover, whether they get down to our 1. All that matters is that they don't score a touchdown. All we needed to do was avoid a touchdown, and they started their own 34. We locked it. So, okay, let's break the game down. Our first drive was really good. Pimpleton out the gate, 22-yard pickup. Pimpleton's still looking really good. Obviously not quite the game that he had before, but he still was a good player. He almost had a touchdown that would have absolutely blown the roof off the building, but it was still a good game. Honestly, our offensive players that we needed to be serviceable were Pimpleton. Acklin had a few key catches. Rhymes is finally here. I'm ready to say that. Yeah, he wasn't, again, doing those big plays, but in clutch moments, he showed up. And when we needed Rhymes, when we really needed him, he was there. And same with Hart. I get it, there weren't any touchdowns, save for the first drive, but 20 first downs, it's not bad. Again, it would be nice if we could get some touchdowns out of those first downs, but first downs is how you move the ball. It's how you give your opponent's bad field position. It's how you get points, even if it's just field goals. As long as you're just staying above the opponent, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. First downs are always inherently good because no matter what, it puts your opponent in a worse situation, even if you get no points off of the drive, especially when you're leading, which was all game for us. Literally, I don't think after the first touchdown, I don't think they even tied it. For the rest of the game, we had the lead and we held it for the entire, since the first drive finished, the entire game, we held the lead. So first downs always benefited us because we're constantly putting them in a worse position. We're, at worst, punting it further back to a team that's already losing. And then we just say, all right, defense, do your job. Don't let them score a touchdown. And our defense said, bet. Then they did not score a single touchdown. They got 4 field goals all game and 2 rouges. 2. And the other 2 field goals that they missed, we said, you aren't getting any points, thank you very much. Ran it out of the end zone. One was a really good run. And the other one, wasn't as good, but still, we made their offense look inept. Look like it had no clue what it was doing. That's better than a lot of the other teams in this league. I mean, we made the Elks look worse than any other team. It's just that our offense couldn't finish at all. Except for, like I said, the first drive. Rhymes with an insane catch gets us to their 3-yard line, picking up 38 yards, and then Armstead punches it in. Elks looked like they messed up on their return and that we recovered the ball. I'm not going to sit here and complain about the refs anymore and the command center. Like, they aren't good. It's the CFL, and they made so many calls that have not been correct, that have negatively impacted us. I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. I'm not. Last game, so many times they could have called PI. This game, there was a play that should have been called PI against Pimpleton. 100% it was PI. Like, I don't know what the command center said, that they said that's not pass interference, but it would be nice, honestly, if we knew. It would be nice if we got to hear the conversations that happened between the referees and the command center, because they make some mind-boggling decisions. Just like, I don't know how they don't see it, the obvious pass interference. And then there's other times where you're like, that you call that pass interference? What? Like, no consistency. I'm not going to sit here and complain about bad calls, because 1, they didn't cost us the game, and 2, I am someone who believes that if 1 or 2 bad calls cost you the game, it's not really worth complaining, because 1 or 2 bad calls happens every single game. You should have just had a bigger lead. The only time I really truly believe in blaming the refs is if there is a consistent pattern of calls that are egregiously bad, benefiting one team over another, and that one team that benefited from multiple egregious calls wins by a very slim margin. That's the only time that I think it's justified to say, well, the refs screwed us out of a win. We won that game, just the refs decided that we didn't. This isn't that. Bad refereeing happens all the time in the CFL, and bad command center decisions happens all the time in the CFL. It's just a fact of life. But nonetheless, we got a 2-and-out. Defense comes out strong, 2-and-out. And then we take 2-and-out. And Edmonton, we don't get any points because of that. Edmonton, did they fumble it? Did we recover it on that previous one, and then it would have been a field goal? Who cares? I'm not here to complain about that. Huge tackle on the return, but penalty. Again, I'm not going to talk about penalty trouble. We've taken some bad penalties, but honestly, this game, it wasn't awful. It wasn't awful. Like, every penalty feels bad, in my opinion. Like, every penalty, it's always like, oh man, like, that's backbreaking. But this was so much better than last game. And the penalties we took very rarely were like those big momentum shifting penalties. So I'm not going to complain about that. They get to 2nd and 8. Baltimore gets a huge deflection, 7-3 on a field goal. And then the next drive starts first down from Armstead, then a 5-yard sack, but we draw PI, which I think, if I'm correct, I think that's the only PI that they called on Edmonton all game. So, this was the one PI that they were like mandated to call in our favor, and don't worry, it won't happen for the rest of the game. Where am I? We draw PI, but the drive stalls. We get to their 40, and yeah, this is the field goal that we miss. Still, a point is a point. It's 8-3, 8-1, 8-3, 8-1. I guess they missed their first field goal. Like I said, 7-3. They missed. I'm confusing myself. We force another 2-and-out. Stuck in our territory. We get a drive going, but yeah, then we throw the terrible pick. Trey Ford showed up in this game. He's free. Didn't really play that much. Honestly, that surprised me the most, especially towards the end of the game. They were not getting any touchdowns, and you have Trey Ford in your back pocket, and Chris Jones is not your head coach, and he didn't show up. I'm gonna quickly run through the game because then I'm gonna talk to Edmonton fans because I think they need someone to talk to. But yeah, okay. It was 7-3, and our defense stops it. We do give up a field goal, but they prevent calamity. You know, pick deep in our territory, and still we have a lead at the end of the first quarter. Move the ball in Edmonton territory, get to their 41. The drive is stalled. This is where the PI that was obvious gets not called, and even though we challenged it, and then we get a field goal, 11-6. Okay, maybe our offense is going to show up today. On defense, tackle for a loss brings up 2nd and 12, and then 3rd down. They were moving the ball, so they do get another field goal. Psych. It's not 11-9. They missed the field goal. We get a huge return. Penalty adds to the return. We throw deep, and again, it's another pick. This time it's picked off at their 14, though, so not as bad. And those were the 2 bad picks. And this is the other thing I like about Drew Brown. He is better in the second half, I find. And even though we got less points in the second half, no picks. It was smart. It was conservative. It was safe. That's all we needed. And, you know, this one shouldn't have been a pick. It clearly hit the ground, but we already wasted our challenge, and they don't look at it. It wasn't a pick. It hit the ground. The ball hit the ground. Start moving the ball. They quickly get to their own 40, and then tackle for a huge loss. 2nd and 15. They get it to 3rd and 8, but they punt. We get the ball at our 27, and we get 2 yards. 3-minute warning hits. 1st down. They take a 15-yard penalty, and then Hardy with a huge pickup, and we get to their 34. And Hardy again gets us to their 17. We get a pass to Ackland, 2nd and 4. Brown runs. 1st and goal at the 4. Pass to Rhymes deflected. Then on 2nd down, the pass is high, and this is the one where I was like, oh. This drive felt like it should have been the touchdown that put the game away. Not put the game away, it would have just been like right before the half. But you get where it would have been just back-breaking, you know. Instead of it being 14-6, it's 18-6. And their offense is getting nothing. We kick the field goal. It's a chip shot for Ward, but 4 yards, I feel like we should have passed on one play, ran on another play. Because even if Armstead only gets 2 or 3 yards, you know, you can go for it on 3rd down. Like, nobody would be upset with that decision. You probably get it. I'm not going to complain about that decision because we won, but I wouldn't have gone for it on 3rd and 4, actually. If I'm being completely honest, I wouldn't have gone for it on 3rd and 4, but I wouldn't have passed on 2nd and 4. I would have passed on I passed on one of the 2 plays. I agree. You know, try to catch them off guard. Then run the ball. Armstead can easily pick up 4 for 1. If not Armstead, you've got Addison. And if neither of them can get the 4 yards, if they can get just 2 or 3, you got Dustin Crum. We kick a field goal. It's 14-6. And it looks like Edmonton has a huge gain, but they're hit with holding that undoes the play. So it's back to 1st and 10. Because the play was after yards had been gained, but it just undid the play, basically. 2nd and 10, they get it. Next play, they lose 6. 2nd and 16 at our 45. They get 6, kick another field goal, 14-9. This one they actually got. And when the second half starts, incompletion, sack, 2 and out. 2 and out from us. We bobble a snap, so the punt gets basically to our 50. A few quick 1st downs. They're pressing. This is where things got a little scary. They hit a field goal, it looks like. It's going to be 14-12, a 2-point game, and no. Rouge. We're still up by more than a field goal. It is 14-10. Armstead gains 9 carries. We don't get anything going on this drive. And on the next drive, Edmonton looks dialed in on their first play. They easily get a 1st down and then tackle for a loss. 2nd and 4 at our 41. Malden sacks them. 2nd and 14 at our 41. Malden sacks them for a 3rd and 20. They get a Rouge on the punt. They don't even attempt the field goal. And great defensive showing. I feel like that's what I can mostly say for this game. But our offense just doesn't show up. Doesn't. Pimpleton gets another big first down catch. Hardy inches closer. Rhymes gets us to the 33. Armstead wills himself to a first down to get us to their 22. And this is what I mean. Like, we're driving the ball a lot more than they are. We are moving it deep in Edmonton territory. And they, like, sometimes get on the outskirts of Ottawa territory. They only had one drive that really scared me. And that was towards the end of the game where, like I said, down 9, they kicked a field goal, 3rd and 4. I don't know why they did that. I say you got to go for it 100% of the time. They never got that close up to that point, and they never got that close again. It's, I don't know, in my opinion, it's a cowardly decision. But then we get sacked, and then we get a procedure. So 2nd and 20, we get 17 yards, and, you know, because we got 2nd and 20, we end up just kicking it. So 17-11, and, you know, they get to our 46. It's 3rd and 3 at the end of the quarter. And, you know, again, it's like last game. We just aren't putting it away. But they go for it on 3rd. They get it. They get to our 36. We force the 3rd down. Oh, man, it's a 3-point game again. Nope. Another field goal miss. Again, we get it out of our end zone. We don't even sacrifice a rouge. Now, we don't get anywhere. We're at our 19, and we suffer a sack almost immediately. It's a 2 and out. And this is when Cleon Lang gets a pick. The punt, you know, it's good, but like they are pretty close to being already within field goal range, and then there's a pick. And Armstead picks up 2. Mardner with a good heads-up play moves the sticks. And again, we just inch down. Pimpleton almost gets that pass that would have sent him to the house. It looks like Rhymes might have had a catch, but it's ruled incomplete. And, you know, no way that it was going to get overturned. And that basically is the rest of the game. They throw incomplete back-to-back plays, 2 and out. Harris injured on the return, but it's a good return. We kick a field goal, 20-11. They have their late drive, 20-14. And then we get a drive going that basically ices it. There's, like I said, 11 seconds left when we punt it back to them, and we get it to their 11. Good defensive showing, but, like, did you hear how bland that sounded? Did you hear it? Like, no big action, no time for us to be, except for the first drive of the game. It was just, like, kind of watching the game slowly. It's like we scored a touchdown, had that lead, and then just watched the clock bleed. It's like we ate clock for the other, like, 50 minutes. But it worked. And now... And I know this video is long. I apologize, but come here, Edmonton fans. Let's talk. Let me talk to you. I know what it's like. I'm an Ottawa fan, and for the longest time, I felt like we were brothers in misery. You know, misery loves company. So I get it. It sucks. This is not the situation you want to be in. But you want a terrible team. I think you're going to beat Hamilton. I do. I think you're going to beat Hamilton. The West is pretty weak this year. There's a good chance there's going to be 2 teams with just 2 wins at the end of this week. Still only 2 games back of the playoffs is not that bad. Chin up. You lost to a good team. Yeah. I'm ready to say that this team right here, they make mistakes. They have some decisions that I don't agree with. Games that they should put away earlier, they don't put away. But 4-2 is 4-2. And one game they looked bad. One game they didn't have a quarterback for basically the entire second half. And every other game they've won. So Ottawa fans, let's not celebrate too much yet. But we have a winning record going in August. Last time we had that was 2021, but that was because of the pandemic. So we have a winning record going into our 3rd month of the CFL season. That hasn't happened since 2018. 3 home wins in a row? Can't remember the last time that happened. Probably 2018. We already are at 4 wins. That was the grand total we had last season. Now, I get last season we had a strong start, then fell off towards the end. But this feels like it's a different season. And as always, go Ottawa, go!
Go Ottawa,
Ottawa, go! Thank you so much. Great game, eh?
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.